All right, so yeah, the most important part I think right now is going to be me to explain my process during a losing season so that if you guys have a season like this, you know not to kind of just change your bias or change the way that you trade. You kind of wait for the market to settle in. And Bitcoin is actually finally settling in. So let's look at the charts. So let's start it from the top. Back when I was a new trader, the way that I would kind of like I guess the way that I would learn was through trial and error, if that makes sense. So what I would do back in the day, since I didn't have a course or anything, for me by myself, is I would literally take all of my charts and I would erase them, and then throughout the week, for the week, prior to or the week coming up, I would just take my trades, and whether the results of those trades were good or bad, I went on from there, right? But in this case, it's way more disciplined because we understand the relationship between the dollar and the oil. We understand the correlation between the dollar and oil. So in a losing season, once you guys already have the information that's correct, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from an experience, but now you're waiting for the dollar and the other asset pairs, depending on the situation, to catch up on that experience. So if we look at the dollar a few times this week and we understand what its manipulation is doing, let's take a moment to look at the manipulation from the other counterparts and then, basically erase the charts and figure out where we are from there. Because even without having everything fully on the chart, I see what the market is doing. Like the dollar itself has been going up for about 1 to 2.5 weeks. So this week, and then we bottomed out at the end of April, which is actually separate, a different situation than what we did last year. Last year, April, we were dealing with this situation of the dollar coming down like this. But just like I was saying, it's like we're 30 days behind in the market this year. I don't know why. Typically, it's because of a fundamental event. So instead of dealing with the dollar sales, which it should have already sold off, going from April into May, and we're headed towards June right now. We still have that situation, but we have to kind of stay disciplined in our thinking process so that we don't get tripped up in the market and miss our move. So we got our high point, we got a high point, we got another high point, and I like to use the circles just so we can see how high each high is and see how they're getting lower every time. So that keeps our disciplined mind on. We understand that the rules of a downtrend is lower lows and lower highs. We understand what USD CAD is, and it's the US dollar versus Canada. But it's not just Canada we're looking at, it's going to be US oil also because Canada and Mexico has oil. So USD MXN and USD CAD are going to be congruent and similar. Basically, um, I wouldn't say cousins, I would say co-siblings to the dollar because whatever move the dollar makes, these pairs are going to move similar, just like Euro AUD, Euro NZD, Euro GBP. Yeah. So then we got this high, this high, this high, and this high on the weekly chart. And then let's identify our lows. We got a low point here, we got a low point here, and we got a low point here. Now, selling this low that was here 3 weeks ago makes sense because it's like when you think about it, if we're looking at the bottom of where this horizontal ray was here and where the bottom of this low was, we retested the bottom of this low on the lower time frame, such as like what, the 4 hour chart. So we did get a perfect retest of that bottom. It was a little messy right here, but overall you got a first top, a second top, and then you got a low, but then this low decided that it wanted to be I mean, I guess a higher low compared to this one, and it retested this level here. I see that now, hindsight 2020, but in the moment we were selling off this low and I mean sorry, yeah, this high and this high to go into an array of the first high, second high, third high, fourth high, and every single high is getting lower each time, just like every single low is getting lower each time. So the market has made demand, but we go back to higher ground to find out, more information. Where is it that we're possibly trying to retest? And you see where this red line is here. At first, I was thinking that it was going to reject from this level because we're already manipulating the highs. Technically, the high should have been stopped here, but that would have been going into last week. And last week's candle we see was green, and we see how it pretty much closed beneath it. But then to start the week, let me actually do this. I'll put it like this right there, and then I'll move it down into the lower time frame, and we'll see that we finally got back underneath it. So I'm thinking, okay, we manipulated the highs already, but that's the thing, we can't tell the market what to do. That's the most important part of the situation. So the only thing choice that we have is to stay disciplined in the way that we're thinking, so that we don't decide that we want to buy the dollar also, and the dollar just manipulated enough to where it can finally go ahead and fall. But it's like, is it manipulation, or is there something in the news forecast that they haven't announced yet that we haven't gotten yet, so that the dollar has to go higher in order to retest? Okay, no problem there. But we stay in the same mindset of thinking so that we don't get confused, because as a new trader, I was flipping from buys to sales way before my account would get blown. But then I'm like, okay, like what is the main bias? That's the one thing that people miss, because the market manipulates enough to where it manipulates their mindset too, to where they want to finally change their bias because they want to make money by Tuesday, want to make money by Friday. In some cases we will, and then we see in this season that we definitely have been doing that. But it's like, it doesn't mean it's not possible, because one win could wipe out all of this. But we just got to find out where we are in the market and figure it out from there. So if we know that we got manipulated here, it decided it's not going to retest here. Rules of a downtrend is lower lows and lower highs. Typically, when the market retests, it's going to be retesting a previous lower low. Retesting a previous lower low is going to look like this. This is the low here that broke out previous supply, and we got selling candle. From there, we didn't respect it, and it came to retest this previous low here. Okay, this previous low and this previous low here is pretty much the same thing. It's just a summary of lows, but we see from this horizontal line, we still close within this low, which is pretty much a zone right there. You see that? Just like that. So then it's a matter of where we are now. Are we retesting this low here? There was a previous low, or are we going to try to the top of the week, since Monday is typically a counter trend day, or are we going to try to retest the bottom side of this low? That's what we have to wait out for. But just looking at the dollar, um, I know Monday's a counter trend day, but I would still want to find my positioning in the market, if that makes sense. So it's like, if I was to enter a trade and I was going to sell the dollar and buy assets, I would start with a smaller lot size, such as the point of one, because we really got to give Monday time to figure out what it wants to do, which is the same situation we had going into last week, except we skipped entries on Sunday and Monday, let it ride out until later Monday going into Tuesday, because Monday's Asian session is technically Tuesday's session in the market, but in the Forex and crypto world, because our markets, for the most part, for Forex is 24/5, for crypto is 24/7. So if we understand that situation is really just waiting for the market to, I guess, do what it needs to do, because it's like we don't have any control over that. But in the meantime, it's patience in the waiting. We see obviously here that it's a descending wedge. We see that, but it was just a matter of how far does it want to go up if the main trend is still bearish, because now we're waiting for a reason to sell off, waiting for a reason for the dollar to sell. So we were in three different pairs last week. We were in US oil, GBP USD, and Bitcoin. Bitcoin, every one of the pairs worked out for the most part, except they just didn't hold. So let me see. The Bitcoin trade is finding ground right now. Uh-oh, I was looking at this yesterday. Yeah, so this is the weekly candle beginning for the Bitcoin trade. Sorry, that's the dollar candle beginning right there, but this is the week's candle. We bought last week like this, and then we got fully engulfed going into this week. But now the question is, we see that this weekly candle fully engulfed this weekly candle, but that's not the first time a weekly candle fully engulfed a candle and then decided that it was going to pop up. This one ended out as a wick. And then this one ended out as in two full weekly candles coming down, but still coming down, staying in structure, if that makes sense. So it's like we had to take into account of this market is only buying and selling. But then it's like, how do we get to a point of, if that makes sense, like how do we get to the point of figuring out what it wants to do in that moment in time? And it's just really being structured in the thought process. So if we see that the weekly chart getting engulfed, how many red candles in this weekly setup do we really have compared to green candles recently? And we are more green than red. But okay, that's the weekly chart. It's not going to set up as often until the weekly chart decides. Really, the weekly chart could come really all the way down to here if it really wanted to and still stay in structure, but that almost wouldn't make sense. Uh, I mean, what is this? 78 to what, 72, 73? If they wanted to do that on Monday, Bitcoin could move that much, but I don't really see that happening. But it's like I'm not in the market yet. By the time that I've made a decision on what I want to trade, we just enter it into the signals. So it's like we've got descending wedge here, we have descending wedge here. Descending wedges really lead me for a reason to buy. They're my buy entry. So it's just like I keep an open eye out on since this descending wedge came. It gave us an impulse to the upside, a retest to the downside, and then takeoff. Impulse to the upside, retest to the downside, takeoff. Retest to the downside, takeoff. Retest to the downside, another descending wedge, takeoff. Retest to the downside, takeoff. We bought over here, and then the market, as you can see, clapped us and then came all the way down. But it's like just because this low here didn't hold, as in a retest to this level, doesn't necessarily mean this low here won't hold, as in a retest to this level, because technically that's manipulation anyway, because the rules of an uptrend is higher highs and higher lows. That means every single low, typically on a perfect retest, should retest a higher high, right? But then that's my controlled way of thinking because it's like I have to think in structure also until the market gives me what it wants to do. So it's like really, it's like you can have an early entry into the buy, or you can have a later entry into the buy. But either way, when those higher time frames, such as the weekly chart showing that we got red candles, the last major downward movement we had was end of February, and we got an impulse to the upside, retest to the downside, and takeoff. I'm taking the weekly chart as in it's bullish. The daily chart still showing me descending wedges, and all of the lows are still getting higher every single time. It's the retest of those lows that might not be perfect, and it would be this situation right here of this retest here to this retest here. Drag this trend, drag that zone all the way across the bottom. I would just put it right there, but it's like it's retesting this level instead of holding this level, which is fine. It's not against the rules, but the market, it's really about what this market wants to do. You got any questions so far?
No.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. And then I move it down into the 4 hour chart. And then it's like the 4 hour chart right now looks like consolidation, but I was looking at this and tracking it yesterday to figure out, okay, what does the market want to do? Because it's like if the market is only buys and sells, then, and we know that the market has been selling off because, I mean, we got manipulated. It didn't hold this level, and this is an exaggerated candle when really we could have, I mean, by the time it broke, by the time this candle came, it was over and done with anyway because it didn't hold this right here. So it's like now it's like a retest to the bottom makes sense, but that's hindsight 2020 right there. We still have to find out where to get bullish if there's an opportunity to get bullish and figure out the why. So it's like the 4 hour chart looks like consolidation. So let me go and get a little bit more detail in the 1 hour chart. By the time it gets to the 1 hour chart, I'm not one that's sitting here making a like looking for setups on the 1 hour chart. The 1 hour chart and under to me is just like entries, if that makes sense. So it's like if I got a series of descending wedges and I got a series of lows, and I understand that every single low, no matter if it's an uptrend or a downtrend, is going to give you a reason to buy. Then we see here that, why I was getting ready to buy. But then it's like, okay, let me give the market time to get situated because Sundays and Mondays, notoriously for the last few weeks, have just been diving off. Like it'll buy up for just a little bit, but the setups haven't been holding. So I'm thinking we playing it smart last week going into we have positions stacked from Friday, Saturday, but Sunday, Monday, and then later into Monday, we finally add a few more positions and it decides to just dive off again. I'm starting to let the beginning of the week decide what it wants to do, but it's just like the seasonality of everything. Of it doesn't make sense to me why everything is a month behind, but I mean, if it made sense and if I knew when things were going to happen, I would have more money than I already have. So it's just a matter of patience at this point. Of I'm so patient and think such a certain way that no matter how far we sell off, if I didn't sell off over here and I saw this candle because we were in this candle because our buys came from over here, there's nothing that's going to make me want to sell down here because I could have sold here and I didn't, and I could have sold here and I didn't, and I could have sold here and I didn't. So it's just like let me wait for the market to give me what I want. And until then, if it's not Bitcoin that gives me that move, then it's like, okay, let's see if something else will maybe give the move. Right now, Pepe and Jasmine, I haven't been trading them because it's like a Bitcoin and Ethereum getting smoked. Everything else doesn't make sense. But you can see the last time that we were really manipulating and playing with, Jasmine and Pepe was over here from March 28th. From March 28th onward, we had like a 3-week trade. And that was the mostly the beginning part of the account challenge, a 3-week trade over here. But then it's like, think about what I'm saying of buy, descending wedges and take it higher and let the market decide what it wants to do. We see the aftermath of that situation. We see where price is here, but the hardest part about trading is being able to hold it because a lot of people will let the market dictate what is going on in the world, and it's not. It's just the every single time frame has to line up as one big giant puzzle piece. And we've been in the market since over here, and we've held the trade for 3 weeks. March 28th, 3 weeks later, we blew that account. But back in the beginning of the challenge, I was making more mistakes of I was adding to the pumps just because of the equity involved. But then it's like every single time that we take a loss, it's like, okay, we're almost this much closer, we're this much closer. So now it's a matter of, do we want to continue? Do we want to continue forward? Because the market is still only a buy and sell. So it's like if we understand the rules of an uptrend and the rules of an uptrend apply to every asset, whatever the case is, anything could be an asset. Sometimes the dollar is an asset. Sometimes JPY is an asset. Sometimes CHF is an asset. But when we got the higher time frames telling us what the market wants to do, there's nothing the lower time frames can do to change that. So we've already been bullish way before the market decided to show that it's bullish, because if the news was meant to make everybody rich, everyone would be rich. But now it's a matter of this annoying shit right here. Of this shit would piss me off too, because look how far it went up and look how far it came down. But you know why it don't piss me off? Because I wasn't in this move over here, because we got blown out over here. And then we switched pairs. We go into Pepe. Pepe, same situation. Um, yeah, March, man, shit made me sick. March going into where we are now, it's like the market pump, 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 but then it slams all the way down. But then it's like, okay, this is a low point. This low point really came where we are now is May 17th. And then the first time we were in this area was April 17th. So we got 30 days worth of price action on the 4-hour chart. Let me drag this over. That's not perfect because I kind of messed it up right there. Let's drag that over. But it's like deja vu. We've already been in this level. The only thing that would have made it more annoying is if I was holding the trade for a month, which is not out of the ordinary, because we was just holding the trade for 3 weeks. So that would have been a month. That shit would have pissed me off if we would have still been holding the trade for 3, 4 weeks and then it came down. But at the same time, people could say you could just take profit. You could just take profit. But it's just I don't know. It's like the technicalities of it. It's the way that my mind works, because they're thinking the money side, but I'm thinking the money and the freedom side on these account challenges, and it's naturally just how I trade. I got 6 dogs. I got a kid. I'm not always looking at my accounts, but they've always been able to run themselves. Right now in this market, we're getting chopped up. But like I said, I've never had a season like this before. That's why I think it's even more important to be able to articulate it to everyone in the account challenge, because the next site is not just a course, it's an entire system, so that the system and the students, they can learn without me and stuff like that. I'll get you on that side too, but you'll see it's awesome because it's like actual modules. It's a P&L calculator for you guys. There'll be P&L for you guys to use solely as students, but then there'll be a public one for everyone to follow along with the challenge. But anybody can start with $100 and turn it into something, but it's about learning from the losses. So the way that I look at it personally is, if I lost everything and had to start all over, I would go back to what I know, which is get a servant job. But keep in mind, I'm so far away from that, I wouldn't even have to do that anymore, because I got rich friends. Ask them for a loan, I take it that way. But if nobody wanted to help me, let's say that, and everybody died off, and I don't know anyone, I get a servant job. And I know back then I used to make, say, $100 a day for the most part. So say 500 a week, 500 to 1,000 a week, depending on it. Depending on tables, depending on the volume. And from that, I used to take 50% of what I used to make for the day. So if I had a night to where it'd be Tuesday night and I make $100 serving tables, then I would take $50 and I'll put it into the market. Some of those $50 blue, some of those $50 accounts, I got to like $600 back in the day, $1,000 back in the day. I wasn't doing nothing extravagant, or I would have been gone. But keep in mind, I was gone without trading. I was gone without making any kind of money whatsoever, knowing that I had bills lined up and that cars was gonna get repossessed and rent wasn't paid. But it's just like I had an attitude problem back then. But none of that matters because it's like if I lost everything and went back, now I have a skill set. I didn't have that skill set back in the day. So the skill set is if I lost everything, no matter what, I have to get a job and, flip the accounts. However long it takes for me to flip the account, that's how long I would have a job. So let's say I came back in November. If I got a job in November and it's May, that means that's how long I'll be working until the account gets flipped. But keep in mind too, it's not like since November we haven't had big account flips. We've been getting smoked really from I I would say February onward. Ever since I did that silver trade, that 1,000 to 45K, I don't think I really had like no big ass trade right after that. That shit was crazy. And I don't understand that side of it, but this is not the first February, March, April that I didn't got smoked like this either because I remember 2021 it was NASDAQ killing me because that was my lesson back then. 2021, I'm getting smoked crazy in February because I'm trying to correlate NASDAQ with US 30, and those two, their indices are supposed to move together. But keep in mind, I wasn't looking at the highs and the lows in the pairs solely. Yeah, look at the correlation, but NASDAQ is technology and US 30, it's just stocks and shit like that. Both stocks, but this is the tech side. It should move more violently. So I'm thinking that I'm going to treat NASDAQ like US 30. I wasn't necessarily back in the day looking at NASDAQ solely by itself. I was entering based off of whatever US 30 was doing and just entering everything. And I'm getting clapped because it was a seasonality. Turn around July 2021. That's when I did that 100,000 into 2 million and it took 2 days. So it's like there's a blessing in the waiting, but it's also me understanding that it's not my timing. It's the world's timing, it's God's timing, it's the market's timing because I don't know what I don't know. But I'm also a trader that doesn't believe in insider trading because I've done so well in these markets starting from nothing to where I understand that maybe people would call insider trading and shit like that, but at the same time, I don't believe in it because if I could see it, they could see it, and they've been doing it longer than me, and I'm sure they got way more resources and a bigger network than me, in the government and in these in markets and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of if you want to, I don't know, like if you want to be where I am, it's kind of like you have to structure your thought process too, because the structure of my thought process this year is what's making the losses not so big as it was in 2021 when even when I was getting clapped. But keep in mind 2021 too, we got crypto going crazy. So I had already did a 700 from that November all the way to May, a $700 account into 750K. So I'm getting clapped in the markets, but then crypto holding it steady. And then my assets in the stock market are holding it steady. I still got assets in the stock market. My crypto assets are not like meme coins and stuff like that. My crypto assets are more structured. It's just Bitcoin and Ethereum, but it's like a build up. It's like a compound. Just like we're doing a compound on the leverage side of this market, my whole life is a compound. Even when it comes down to outside of the market, when it comes down to education and reels and YouTube videos, people think it's me making that all the time. Typically, I'll take some of the videos that I have of my private students throughout the week, and then I'll clip some of those, and it's like little mini commercials to me, but it's a compounded effect of say, I'm just now getting back into talking on social media, and I have 30,000 people looking at my page each day. Now it's closer to like 80,000, but it's like keep in mind I was locked out of Instagram for like a week and a half, and then I'm still getting followers and stuff like that because the compound is running no matter what, and that's exactly what I'm doing with my trading account. If that makes sense. But then it's like it doesn't matter the asset class, everything is a buy and a sell. But if you don't understand what is the characteristics of a buy and what are the characteristics of a sell, it makes things a lot easier. Only thing that we cannot help is manipulation, and that's where I think it's a strong point because I used to trade with a lot more money to begin with because I used to think that I had to, but as my edge got sharper and sharper, I understand that it's not a necessity. If I got a descending wedge, now I'm just gonna wait for the setup to give it to me. And even though we got a descending wedge here and we haven't necessarily crossed over yet, this would be an early entry. And early entry is depending on what I have available. If I have, say, a lot of money already to the side, then my earlier entries outside of the challenge might be bigger than a point on one, if that makes sense. Sometimes my earlier entries will be a standard, but it just depends on the account size. It depends on what I need to pay for. It depends on my risk tolerance. But my risk tolerance overall is already high risk, but at the same time, it's not high risk and sporadic. It's high risk and structured. So a lot of the accounts that we flipped last week, one of them got to the trades got to I think like 200 or 300. The next one got to like 300 or 400. Next one was like 400 or 500. But then it's like I'm thinking we cool. Like Monday especially, we floating like 300 to 400 the whole day. I go to the gas station, that shit gone. That shit don't make no sense. The gas station right there. It's
I
right
was
there.
I was looking at that trade. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we cooking. Then
Yeah,
all
I'm
of a
thinking
sudden,
we good.
it was no reason. You know what I'm saying? Except for manipulation, like you said, looking at the charts and just following. It was like, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it's like I don't know. It's like I'm one of those people that feel like even trials and tribulations, they're working for me rather than against me because I've never had a season to where I've had to, anything like this. I don't even know what to think. Like it got to a point last year, I'm like, damn, can I fucking trade? Because I'm like, this shit is crazy. But then it's like I'm looking at my results, I'm like, yeah, yeah, I can trade. I'm the best trader. But it's like I cannot. But it's like the smart thing to do if to question myself to make sure I'm in line because asking the right questions is how I got to the top anyway. But asking the right questions is also how I stay to the top. And I'm a person that's gonna feel like anything that's going like something that's a trial and tribulation, whether it's good or bad, because even trials and tribulations can be good or bad, is working for me and not against me, so that I can show this. I can't show this in a winning season. I can't show my thought process like this in a winning season. I can't show how I get back to normal in a winning season because it's just win, 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 win. But it's like it was even a point last year in that account challenge for the original 100 to the what was it? The 100,000, 75,000 for the first 3 days, and the rest of it came 2 days later. It was a matter of the accounts was just flipping so crazy that weekend after. First it go from 200 to say 10,000, and then 10,000. Next number I saw was like 15,000, and then we went to 20,000. I saw all the 20s, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I think we went from like 28 to like 32,000, and then skip most of the 30s, 32,000 to 40,000. But even then, that was a constant scenario of making decisions the entire time. So if I'm making decisions the entire time, I'm never getting to actually like people think I know the trades are coming, but it's really just me executing at my highest level. So I'm executing at my highest level, but I'm always executing at my highest level. I'm always letting these trades run. I'm always thinking we're okay until we're not, because this is the part that I cannot predict of it just, oh, you want to come all the way to fuck down, huh? Okay, that's crazy. But then I'm like, I already knew you understand. So I was just like, well, I'll talk to her on Sunday and see what we're gonna do. Because I mean, we can still load it again with 100. I don't need 1,000 each time, especially after I just did that, because it doesn't make any sense as to why it's doing it. But it only takes one win to make everything else like, wow, this is amazing, because that's what it is. So I don't know. I try to take pride in showing like, hey, if you're losing like this is what you need to do. Stay disciplined in your way of thinking, because if you already got the results, it's not you, it's the market. And then in the market, the only risk that we have is starting with too much that we can't afford. And then also like we can't see manipulation. We don't know that we in consolidation until we in consolidation. And then even in consolidation, consolidation got rules. Are we in an uptrend or are we in a downtrend? Because once that consolidation breaks out, we still have to break in the direction of true trend. So it's like if I understand what the weekly chart is doing, the daily chart is doing, the 4 hour chart is doing, the 1 hour chart is doing, and all these time frames align as one big puzzle piece, it's like I'm more surprised at how far it dropped. I'm just like, that don't make no fucking sense. Like Bitcoin was the most annoying. It don't make no sense as to why it dropped like that. We're back in the 70s. We're back in the 70s. We was buying over here already. And then, we getting clapped. Probably when it came down, maybe it was this one over here. I think it was probably this level here. But it's like we have gotten good at not stacking this right here. Like when the market's going up, I've gotten even better about letting the trade just run in my direction. And the only time that I'm starting to add on trades, in the signals that you can see, is going to be when we get in those red candles, like those red daily candles in an uptrend. Oh, I love those. Look, we own it right here. This is a red daily candle. I love those, but now it's like a matter of you can't trade scared, because if you trade scared, you're not gonna milk the market for what it's worth. Like if I got a 20 cent here and then I'm afraid that it's gonna come down here, then I'm really thinking in like the doomsday level. And it's like you can't think like that, but it's like I can take note. I can take note, but people think I'm taking random ass trades. I'm not taking no random trades. But it's like my grocery list. It's exactly like my grocery list for the week, for the month. It's like I have two grocery lists that I'll leave saved in the cart and I'll get my groceries delivered. But then it's like I have items such as toilet paper, laundry detergent, pot scrubbers, just regular little tedious stuff that'll be on a monthly list, and I order those in a bigger quantity. And like yeah, laundry detergent, especially I got six dogs, they always doing something. It's so many towels all the time. So I need that laundry detergent. So I might buy 3 to 4 of them so that I don't have to go through it throughout the month and think about, am I gonna need laundry detergent? But there was a way that I used to think back in the day if I gotta get laundry detergent every single week. But it was also because of what I had and what I didn't have. I gotta get laundry detergent every single week. I might in the food side of it, think about getting groceries, but now it's like a matter of I'm getting protein such as salmon, chicken, shrimp, and beef, whether that be ground beef or steak. It just depends on my daughter. But then it's like I'm cooking more from home, and it's like I have weight loss goals, whether that be to maintain or whether to lose or gain. I ain't to the gain side, yes, because I'm coming down, so I don't have to worry about the gain side. But now it's like I'm structured in my eating, just like I'm structured in this market. So now it's I get rice off the back of my head. Like I'm not buying to make meals, I'm buying to fuel my body. So now it's like even the way that I buy is structured, but now it's like because I know that food items are not gonna last as long as laundry detergent. The food items I make like 1 to 2 packs of whatever it is per week. That's gonna be my weekly list just to update the food, updated food items, updated drinks. I don't even drink soda anymore, so I'm drinking like Powerade, Gatorade, and water. That's easy. It's taking away the decisions that I have to make. I don't have to figure out what's going in. Like I made this seafood pasta one time for the Gaussian, and it's like I don't have to figure out what's going in the specific seafood pasta. I don't have to worry about the garlic that day, the onions that day, the lemon juice that day, and stuff like that. I just know that salmon, and then from there, if I'm making something extravagant, which I'm not usually because my daughter's allergic to seafood, so if I know she's not here, then on Saturday when she's not here, I'll go to the store if I got salmon in the fridge or shrimp in the fridge already, and if I need garlic and onion and lemon and just the stuff to make it taste even better, then I'm gonna go to the store for that separately. But everything that gets ordered for the week, for the month, is already on its own list. So it's like I don't have to make as many decisions. So it's easier and it's gonna cost me less. It's gonna cost less just like in the market because I'm making less decisions because those decisions are already made. If I've already made a decision, or depending on the correlation of these time frames, I'm going to trade the direction of true trend. Whether that trend is bullish or bearish, then that's what I'm going to do because the results tell me to keep going that way. Now, I do intraday trade. I started out as an intraday trader with a swing outlook of the market. It's just way more profitable for me to hold these trades because it's not going to cost me as much money every single time I have to enter the market. Or if I wake up late, I don't have to worry about missing my entry because I'm already in it. And that's 9 times out of 10. Like all week this week, I've been going to bed at like 7 a.m. And I don't know. It's not like I just don't get tired until 7 a.m. My sleep schedule a little off. I set an alarm for this video. I was like, I gotta make sure I get Sunday. But it was fine because I woke up like an hour before right before I had texted you is when I had woke up. So I was making sure I'm on time because it's important for me to show the process of my losses and why I don't get discouraged. Like I just be pissed more or surprised more than discouraged because I'm like stupid bitch. Like we was just up $500 damn near. I'm thinking we cool. And then it's like, okay, cool. I can go to that gas station. No, I can't go to no gas station. And then the next day or the day after, I'm like, I go to sleep on it. I'm like, we cool. We're good. Thank God I could go to sleep for 2 hours. wake up in a pile of drool, look at my phone. I don't even look at messages first. I look at my phone for my trades. And I'm like, where's my fucking account? like, like it's funny. It is not funny, but then keep in mind I have an 8-year-old too. So she can look at the laptop, she sees stuff, and she can tell when the numbers is green, I'm in profit, and she know if the numbers in red, I'm not in profit. So it's a fun experience for her to even for me to think about because her perception of it of a loss is different. Like I don't want her perception of a loss to be scary, but I don't know if she's gonna be a trader. You know what I'm talking about? But it's about me implementing certain things so that if she want to be a trader, she can trade. If she want to be a veterinarian, whatever, do your thing. You want to be a firefighter, go for it. But the assets are gonna take care of everything regardless. But it's her mindset that I want to always mold so she can think for herself. But she said something this week. It was so funny. We be playing Uno. She homeschooled. I'm on her only like little friend. I need to get her some little kid friends because I can't do it no more. And she like ahead of her time. I always tell people that Aubrey is me without the trauma. And it's like she was like something like this. She's like, look at the I had lost Uno, but she like walk around and say L, whatever, people say that L. I say it all the time too. L. I think it's funny. I'm playing a game. I got a dark sense of humor. People eventually understand that. Yeah, but Aubrey do too, and so do her grandparents. So then it's like instead of saying L, she said, look at the triangle. And I'm looking at this triangle so hard. And she's like, look at the triangle, look at the triangle. And she's like, now separate the triangle. You know, when you separate the triangle, it's two L's. And I'm just impressed with her perception because even what she said right there, I am 30 years old. She is 8. I've never thought to say that sentence in those words in that order. But it's the same thing about trading. All the time that my learning curve was 2 years when I originally started. I started in 2017 and then I started teaching in 2019 after I made my first million. But I wasn't even thinking about teaching. It's something that didn't cross my mind, but it's just like a series of different I don't know, decisions that got me to where I am now. But even when it came to homeschooling her, I love my child, but I love my free time too. You know how I go. So it's like even homeschooling, it's like I don't regret homeschooling, but the series of decisions was I couldn't get the school system to act right. They wasn't doing what they needed to do, and they really just kept calling me up here all the time. And then they're gonna say, "Oh, well, she's missed too many days. Y'all need to clean y'all school. She's sick all the time." They're trying to hit me with truancy. I'm not fucking getting no truancy. What are you talking about? This is you sending her home. I said, pull out the school. And they said, you can't pull her out the school. I said, oh, yes, I can. I'm home every single day. And she's never seen me work a job. Matter of fact, her dad, him and his wife got into it a few months ago, so he came to stay here for like 6 months. And then it's like she never seen anyone go to work. I never thought about it, but she's never seen anyone go to work until he came to live here for a few months ago. But me and him broke up when she was only 6 months old. So when I was trading stuff like that, me and him started at the same time, and I was working a job when she was a baby. But by the time she could form memories, really, she's never seen me work a job. So then he's here a few months ago, and she's like, where's he going? Why does he go to work? I said, because if you don't have money, you got to go to work to get it, and then you put it in assets, and then the assets work for you. But it's like, it's that kind of process that even I have to go back in time in my head to kind of think about because it's like, I'm 9 years in, 8 years in. Well, yeah, nine. I started 2017. It's 2026. 9 years in on the journey, but teaching for like 7 to 8 of them, if that makes sense. 6, 7, 7, 8, whatever it is. So it's just structured thinking, and the results that I have now, these last few years, are way better than the results I had in the beginning because in the beginning I was doing it entering based off a level of consistency. I'm entering US session and then I'm active US session every single day or London session every single day. And I don't even know if I understood back in the day if I was buying or selling in that moment in time, but I knew that if I hit this green button or the buy button whenever it's 9 o'clock in the morning and it was in an uptrend, we in a bullish market, then the market go up and I'm gonna eat. But it's like I blew a lot of accounts too back then, but It was worse than this because I'm starting with higher accounts. I'm thinking that, my first trade ever, I won $1,200 on, but it was starting with an $800 account. And I could say that maybe if I would have lost my first trade, maybe I would have been a little bit more discouraged. But God knew my heart. He let me win my first trade. I lost my second one though, but me winning the first one was enough for me to have enough curiosity to continue to get better and better and better. But I have a love for education. But then it's like my daughter's perception is one that she's probably the only person in this world outside of her siblings, but especially now building, the companies around, it's like she's the only one that'll get to see the entire process the entire time. And I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I'm pissed. But it's like I watch myself too. Sometimes I piss and I'm irritated at the market or irritated about something in business. But it's like I know not to take that out on a kid because my mom used to do that shit to me. And she was working a job and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of being like not being anything but guarding your thought process, guarding your emotions, and then being able to talk it out. So if I get short and snappy with her, I go in there and I apologize. I'm like, I'm not trying to yell at you, but girl, when you put your shoes on your wrong feet and then you be in my face talking about you want to play Roblox, I don't think you should play no Roblox because it's just a little stuff. But that's something that I didn't have back in the day. But it's like even as a trader back in the day, my learning curve was so long because why are these traders not telling me the rules of an uptrend, the rules of a downtrend, how to articulate myself in the market, how to think in this market? Because how to think in this market is way more important than just executing because of times like this. But it's like back in the day, nobody told me buy off a descending wedge. Why nobody told me to buy off a descending wedge? I could have saved so much money because I'm buying ascending wedges and stuff like that. We could say this is an ascending wedge here, but we didn't buy up here. We bought down here and the bitch didn't hold. I'm like, you stupid how what's going on? Keep in mind the main candle that did that shit was this candle here. We had a couple positions here, but it's like we had steady level here, but we stack this and the market come down like that, then it's like, what do we do? We have to do it again because now we're buying from a different level. So now it's like you gotta trick your mind into thinking the way that you want it to think. So it's like in an uptrend, it's higher highs and higher lows. That means every single higher low, I need to be buying. Every single higher low, I need to be cautious. It doesn't mean that every single low or every single red candle is going to come down like this because this one didn't come down like that. And this one didn't come down like that. And this one didn't come down like that. And this one didn't come down like that. So this one was one candle. This one was two candles. This one was three candles. And this bitch give us five. All right. Next count. Next account. So I find I don't know. I like the journey. It's not like I'm just saying I like the journey because I'm at the top already. I like the journey is how I got to the top because the past I had behind me was worse. So it's just a matter of that. People are not going to change their situation until there's a reason to change it. But even like talking on YouTube and being able to articulate myself, I feel like that whole situation with my mom at the top of the year and everything that was going on the last few months was a situation to push me more into the public because like you see me in person, I just don't really talk about the situation because I tear up and shit like that. It's hard to talk about, but it's easy for me to talk online to people that I don't know because it's just like the situation is greater than me. It's like I've already had the results. I've been had the results. I've had the six-figure students. I have the seven-figure students. I just necessarily was more selfish because I felt like I don't know. I came off a bitter season. I felt like the world didn't deserve it because I didn't gave this person 25 bands and then you help this person with something and donating and 500 here and 1,000 here and buying houses and buying cars and then it's like the one time I absolutely needed someone to be there for me, nobody could do that. But then it's like everybody want to check in after the fact, and I don't really have nothing to say other than let me show you what I'm fucking made of because it's really back down to that, and it's just like I'm just glad that it's me dealing with that situation in any situation rather than my kid because it's like I got siblings. She don't even have no siblings yet, but then even the thought process of how different decisions make you choose a different route. I didn't even think I could have kids or wanted kids, but thankfully I've had great in-laws. So the last 8 years have been great because I've had the help. But I didn't want kids because like my family environment was all you see how some black families be. Don't have, I'm not raising no babies. I'm not raising no babies. They were unstable. They were not loving. So I'm thinking I don't have the foundation. I don't have the support. But it's like I have the foundation. I have the support. But I have that now. I didn't have that back then. I have the knowledge that I have now to take 100 into 100 bands, 100 to 150 bands, because I've already done it so many times. So now I have the knowledge and the experience. But then it's a matter of once you got those results, and once you've seen those results, it's just being structured in the way that you're thinking. Because if you're not, as soon as you think, okay, the market's selling, I'm gonna sell it, they're gonna say, take that bitch up, and then go, and then like, okay, the market's going up, I'm ready to go up too. Take that bitch down. So it's like you just gotta change your way of thinking of, okay, when the market is up, I don't want to buy it. When the market is down, that's gonna be my best reason to buy. When the market's giving me a descending wedge, give me a reason to buy. The market's giving me an ascending wedge, and I'm in buying entries. From there, do I want this money or do I not? And I think about that question myself, but I also think about this. How far can it really go? That is really what I'm also thinking about because I mean, we've seen a couple of these things. Look at what Jasmine did. Pissed me off. Look at what Pepe did. Pissed me off. Well, look at what Bitcoin did. We was in this. I don't know why we're not in this bitch no more, but we was in that. But then it's like oil doing the same thing. We were in an oil trade and we buy it off of the breakup structure, breakup trend line. Right. It's exactly what we've been doing. Oh, wait. Was it this one? No, it was maybe. Oh, wait. I lost it. Let me go over here. Oh yeah, maybe it was this level here. So a couple 4 hour candles, and then we just get this one big giant 4 hour candle that don't make no sense. I'm just like, that's so crazy. That's so crazy. And oil add up good, but it's like me switching from Bitcoin to oil. This was my process behind that. Oil was already giving, oh yeah, maybe it was over here. Oil was already giving the buy setup. It was already getting ready to break the trend line. So my experience with oil is oil will sometimes take off first while the rest of the market is falling. But that's people only gonna catch that if they've been trading for almost a decade because that's something that you have to notice oil does. So that's why when Bitcoin tried to come down and slam the rest of the account, I got out of it like solely by myself, and it's very rare that you're gonna see me pull out because typically if positions are closing, if I don't announce positions are closing, 9 times out of 10, I'm not in it. It's my broker that is really managing the trade for me because people think the brokers is an enemy, but I use the brokers as a like as a counterpart, as a benefit to my account because if they could take the whole account, they're going to take the whole account, as we can see. But if they can't take the whole account, if they can't take all the positions, if we got positions down here and down here and down here, and they can't take all of them, it don't have no choice but to go up because we ride in the true trend. So now it's a matter of the hardest part of this account challenge is really going to be getting these positions to hold, getting these positions to stick, because the most uncomfortable part is going to be when we don't have the equity. I'm thinking we got equity when I go to the gas station. I'm thinking we cool. Monday, I'm thinking we good. I'm thinking, oh man, I'm about to float this bitch. I'm thinking for sure we get into a couple grams. No, no, no. But it's a blessing in that. On if this small account didn't make it, these larger accounts wasn't gonna make it either. And that's the only thing really saving us. But when you start with nothing, it's like yeah, there's risk management. The risk management could be a couple of different things. It could be the 1%, it could be the trailing stops, but it's like if the market consistently go back and forth like a zigzag, every single time you're gonna get stopped out, and then you're gonna get stopped out, and then you're gonna get stopped out. But then it's like, okay, but at least I didn't lose money, at least it's at break even. Okay, well, since you know the answer to that, what happens when you in a bad trade and you just slowly bleeding, you slowly leave losing money because you're not getting stopped out over here. You get break even, break even, break even, but you're not getting no profit. And then the one trade that completely goes against you without you being able to stop out or break even gonna blow the whole account. But then they don't know how to react to that, and now they're confused in the market. I know that because I've already been through all that, but it's like it's hard for me to articulate that in a winning season. I can articulate it better in a losing season, but then it's like me understanding last year my payment processor went down. I had to refund $80,000 to people because I had no way of doing nothing. And then it came to the point of the decisions I had to make. I refunded 80,000 because yeah, I could still teach and shit like that. It was the fact that Stripe wasn't giving me the money. They was holding it. So if I'm not getting it, and they wasn't trying to give it to y'all, I refunded it because fuck them. You're not finna fucking get it if I'm not getting it. So I gave it back. And then I took a few months off, but at the same time, I'm still having six-figure trades, and that was last April. But everything that happened last April, because that processor went down, and I didn't understand how to deal with that situation, because like I said, I'm the first one in my family to do this kind of stuff. I didn't have people to go to, and of course, I had like not not business mentors, but friends that are successful in business. They, I don't know, they have their different way of thinking, but it's not necessarily their plan ain't God's plan. Let's just say it like that. So I have to take what they say with a grain of salt, because even this situation, nobody knew my mom was an undiagnosed schizophrenic until this year when I said it. And I've been teaching since 2019, but I've never said anything because really my mom, some years she was fine, and I was trying not to trigger the shit because it was so bad. So then keep in mind going into Mother's Day, it's like I forget I even got aunts and uncles and grandmas and shit, because it's like I had to deal with so much of that by myself this year. My grandma and my aunt ran into them. My aunt's on the phone, my grandma, and she said, "Oh, Nanny's there. They ain't seen me in forever because what the fuck was this? Why did you let it get so bad? Why didn't you say anything?" And then it's just like the same time, I'm asking my grandma, asking in my head, asking the world, why didn't she just tell me that she thought my mom wasn't taking her medicine and shit done got bad to where she done lost her job and then she fucking chasing her across the goddamn country in New York, and she thinking she's just losing her fucking mind, and everyone's like, what? Oh, like everything's normal. Shit's not normal, but that's probably how people feel with gurus and influencers when they acting this shit is normal and we blowing our shit. No, I know we getting our shit blown out. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck going on too. But so it's like while I figure out what's going on, let me just figure it out on camera so that we can all see what's going on together, because everything makes sense to me in a technical standpoint. The only thing that's not making sense yet is the fundamental standpoint, but that's a standpoint we can't see until it's right there. By the time fundamentals come out, the market's taking off, if that makes sense. So it's like we have no choice but to be in it and time it. So it's a blessing in timing the market, and it's a blessing in having time in the market. I made money on both. I made money on just timing it, and that's really how I got to my first million in the beginning. But there's a way easier route by being in it and letting the market do all the work for you, especially if you got kids and a job and business and shit like that, because the market can absolutely make this money for you. And because we're trading such a leveraged side of this market, it's even more important that we get those entries right. And sometimes the entries is right, and we thinking shit gonna be smooth, and then shit just not smooth. But it's just like when I think about stuff like that, I'm like, so what do we do from here? We don't have no other choice but to go again, because that's the only answer. Because it only take one time to be right. And so to me, I'm acting like, I don't know. I think of it as like building Amazon or building Facebook and stuff like that. Like, because everything else don't make no sense. It don't make no sense to me. There's trials and tribulations, but I'm like, damn, like why can't I flip this? Why can't I count? Like it don't make no sense. But it's probably because all the systems that I have and the course setup that I just finished completing this week, that shit just happened this week. So now it's a matter of me back then figuring out what I'm missing in the market, but even me now, what am I missing that's going to make this like good for the world, because I'm building something for the world. But just because it's for the world doesn't mean it's going to be something that takes up my entire time, the entirety of my time. So now I'm looking at it as in, oh, I can just show you. Hang on, let me open this file too. I can show you the walkthrough of some of this. Let me see. This was site walkthrough. Okay, let me do this. Close that. Go back to trading view, and then add this on there. It'll be something like this. I haven't fully released it yet, but then it's like an actual back office academy, because everyone doesn't have the same life and everyone doesn't have the same day, and we don't have the same kids, so we all don't live in the same state either. We don't even have the same time zones. So now it's like building this and doing the account challenge is good for everyone, because even if people are busy, they can go through the entirety of the course like this, and it's completely different because it's actual modules. There's actual workbooks for you guys to do on this side. Um, some of this is just for the public and stuff like that. But you guys, this will be we got the result page of me turning one of my students turning what I think 500 to 115K, me doing the 7K into 300,000. Like I got receipts for it all. And then it's like I have recorded videos of Coinbase withdrawals and then stuff like that. So it's like when I know my results are there, it's just a matter of the market lining up with me, and then that's only a matter of time. And that's exactly why I went ahead and took the what's it called? the timing off of the challenge because I would hey, I'm still gonna flip the account no matter what if the timing was there. But that's what I'm saying. I took the timing off because the challenge would go until it's complete because that's the way that people have to look at it to begin with anyway. But if no one explains that to new traders, they're gonna be discouraged and they're gonna quit because they're thinking it's not working in a certain amount of time. When I've had students become millionaires and it took them a shorter amount of time than it took me, all because I took the longer route and can articulate it in a way that's going to be easier for them to understand that sometimes the dollar just needs to manipulate. And that's why I find the strength in intraday swing trading on this is a high and this is the high. And technically, if we added nothing else, this trend will still be valid because we have this low here that I'm anticipating getting retested here, and this will be the balance. But did it have to go there? No. But am I in charge of this market? No. But do I know the right way? Do I know the highs and the lows and the ups and the downs and the buys and the sells and how it works? Yes. So I have to go back to what I know. When I'm getting slapped, my ass, I might not say nothing in the group, but trust I saw it. Eventually I saw it. And then I'm gonna go work out. And then I might sweep and then I might mop, and then I'm gonna listen to a word, and I'm gonna look at my charts again, and then I'm gonna say fuck, and I'm gonna close it. Might watch a cop show. That's my little guilty pleasure. I might go and watch a cop show, but I operate through chaos because I grew up in chaos. So some of my best work is done with a police video on the TV, and I'm just like, and it all makes sense. So if I wasn't taking the